Chapter 3, Amirah's Birth. The announcement. This is what had been seen at the announcement of the birth. A great land resembling the long-lost city of Atlantis on the realm of Katsuda housed a great temple with a floor plan shaped like the Pantheon of Rome and a groin vault ceiling. All four corners housed a pedestal and had the center as an altar. The temple had been built by the Anagrammatrons, Erebatus and Levatum. This was the contribution of the current Korabdi Max. The western wall, known as the Chaos Wall, houses a decorated evergreen tree with a pedestal. Above the tree houses a statue of Shiva. Max declared that Shiva is part of the Trimurti, including Vishnu and Brahma, whom is the master of destruction. This is the reminder of the Charge's ancient heritage long forgotten. Shiva has not departed as guardian, despite having been long forgotten with the arrival of the traditions of Zoroaster and Mohammed. The priest announces that Shiva is one of the angelic beings of destruction order as minister to the Indo-Aryan peoples. Then Max announces the Christmas tree has been an ancient symbol and adopted by the Christians to symbolize the undying Christ. Then a mysterious figure announces that every winter Shiva sends a great cold of destruction and death to all plants, but knows well that the evergreens can endure his destruction, even though the deciduous trees die every year to be born again constantly. The eastern wall, houses a small statue of Ganesh with a Christmas wreath around his head. The current Senexit Oliver wisely set this up. Oliver announced that Ganesh has also returned to minister to people who have also been long forgotten. A storyteller retells the account. Ganesh was once killed accidentally by his father, but was resurrected through the head of an elephant and has come to be a figure to empathize with hardship and the first to be interceded for in such times. Oliver announces the wreath is a symbol of the Christians use during the holiday to symbolize Jesus' passion and death and the great circle of eternity. Melendo notices the parallels of Jesus and Ganesh. The northern wall houses a mural of a family from a yellow people inhabiting a world existing near their own, and a statue of a priestly revolutionary from their main city. All the gifts were given by the Anagrammatrons. The primary order of the 8th, 9th, 2nd, 3rd, and statue 7th dedicated a statue of Gandhi. The 9th order representative announced Gandhi is a reminder of the power of nonviolence and self-giving love and service. The secondary order of the 1st, 5th, 4th, and 6th order dedicated a mural to first off honor this new show that that would become a culturally relevant show. The mural was the beginning of a world which has a magic that can never be replicated. The Fourth Order representative suggested so little is known and so much potential. It's the novelty that the mystical beginning without the conditioning of the past, like this birth. The Fourth Order representative suggested that maybe it is the lack of other episodes to compare the show to. Melendel announced, "This is the great mystery which will probably never be answered." Then a poet sang, "If we asked the earth, the Fourth Order, they would say the deep simplicity. If we asked the First Order, they would say wholesome family morals. If we asked the Fifth Order, they would say it's the most identifiable." This mural told of a family's Christmas troubles when the patriarch lost his bonus and the matriarch had to spend the Christmas funds to get his son's tattoo removed. The patriarch, working as a mall center, barely paid, and the father and son lost all their Christmas money betting on a greyhound race. But Christmas was saved in the very end when they adopted the reject hound and gave the family a truly meaningful gift. The southern wall was the gift of a statue of Santa Claus dressed as a Sufi dervish. This was a gift given by the Paidenex by Melendel as a way to always remember the lessons between the extremes of indulgence and asceticism, for there are Sufi orders who can find oneness in very detachment from material pleasures, while others understand these pleasures as gifts. Many take the balanced approach of times of fasts and feasts. The pedestals on the corners of the wall bear statues of a mermaid, a flounder, a seagull, and a crab. The storyteller relays this story. As the old legend tells, there are 4 characters responsible for breaking the schism between the naval and terrestrial realms. As revealed years later, the king's wife had been killed by pirates and had prejudice against the terrestrial world since. The mermaid loved the prince and took the initiative to become human to get him to fall in love with her. Hail to the empathetic fish who stood by the mermaid when her grotto was destroyed and the witch stole the prince from her. Hail to the intelligent crab who organized a plan to get the prince to fall in love with the mermaid. Hail to the seagull, who with the scatterbrained tendencies never lost hope, and was the first to catch the witch when she was tricking the prince, and the first to warn the other 3. The altar in the center depicts a statue of a mother and father holding a newborn child and surrounded by gifts from the mortals. On the altar there are 4 gifts given, being a wooden cross, flatbread, a bag of saffron, and a hookah. The note on the cross stated, "I give this gift as a peace offering of the cross in times when the religion honoring Jesus of Nazareth has been misaligned by political misconduct." The card on the flatbread states, "This is a food offering of the most finest grain, providing sustenance. The card on the saffron offered stated, "This is a financial sacrifice of the most costly spice." The card on the hookah stated, "This is an offering transformed from a life-taking device to an incense burner in order to emit most sweet aromas." The vision of the fish. There was a mysterious dream, identical to the opening titles of The Little Mermaid. A child had dreamed of being a goldfish caught in a net, tossed around by sailors, and eventually returning to the sea with a sigh of relief. This fish swam through the blue waters, to which he passed sea anemones, a school of clownfish, floating jellyfish, 2 humpback whales, and merfolk, traveling to see the dedication of a temple. As to who this dreamer was, had not been yet revealed. What he was doing and how he had gotten into this realm is wholly not known, and may never be known. Some think it was an angel. The paranormal investigators think it was extrasensory perception. All we know is that the dreamer had seen what he needed to see. The fish experienced this tiny and soft sound that turned into a great crescendo, which hailed a vision of an unexpected and bright light, showing this great temple being transformed into a great and glorious city. Amirah's birth. This is the story of the birth of the child Amirah. This starts off with a Pashtun couple who had migrated from southern Persia years back. The father's religious history comes from a Sufi order and the mother of a Zoroastrian order with Vedic influences. The couple's names are Kazeem and Zaida Sassani. Kazeem is an accountant working at Sudix Empowerment accounting firm located in Dayton, Ohio. Zaida worked as a professor for Wright State University. 9 months previous, Zaida had conceived a child who would come to be one of Melendel's charges. Zaida had been in contractions for 2 weeks since taking her niece Saira to the movies theaters to see The Little Mermaid. This movie had just hit theaters exactly 1 month previous to the baby's birth. Now, The Little Mermaid was the first movie kickstarting the Disney Renaissance and had sketches dating back to the days when Walt was still alive. The Disney Renaissance began after a period of movies that had been a total bust, such as The Black Cauldron. The theater had been quite dark, and the movie was on the scene where the small fish was swimming from Eric's ship to Atlantica. During the scene, Zaida looked quite uncomfortable, which Saira could clearly tell. Saira asked Zaida if she was okay, quite worried that she had gotten sick. Zaida explained that she was near to having the baby. Possibly this baby just like the movie. By this time, The Thanksgiving holiday had come and went, and the Advent season was long underway. One Wednesday evening, during the television show Who's the Boss premiered, the episode was Life with Father from the 5th season. It became quite clear that the time to have the baby was near. This show is about an Italian-American family who moved from New York City to Connecticut as a family for a rich family, hence the name. This was the episode with the clip show recounting all the time that Toby had been overprotective and embarrassed Sam. This show, Who's the Boss, starred Kindred Charge, Alyssa Milano, who was the inspiration for the Little Ariel in The Little Mermaid and hosted the Disney special The Making of the Little Mermaid. One djinn of the Seer Order predicted that this new baby would have Alyssa's jaw, or similar. A day later, on a silent, starry, and quite snowy night, near the dawn of the 3rd week of Advent, it had become quite clear that it was time for Zaida to give birth. That night, Kazeem drove Zaida to the hospital. The night had been quite chilly, with a snowy ground and a bright starry sky. Kazeem parked in front of the hospital, and a valet authority parked his car in the ramp. Then Zaida and Kazeem entered the hospital and headed up to the maternity ward. Zaida had been moved to her bed and had begun her labor. The doctor entered the room along with the nurses to begin the work. During the labor, there was a shadowy sight of a hideous figure giving a sinister look. Then a mighty hand knocked the figure out of the room and he immediately disappeared. During the 2nd hour of the new day, after a short labor, a new baby was born. Upon this birth, the new baby let out her first newborn cry. The nurses cleaned up this new baby, and the obstetrician did a brief examination and announced to Kazeem and Zaida that they had a healthy baby girl, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, and a full head of jet black hair, which they could see anyways. This new baby looked like Zaida, but had Kazeem's mouth. Kazeem and Zaida named this new baby Amirah, which means princess in Semitic. During the birth, there had been another shadowy sight of a toddler holding a stuffed flounder doll. After a short period of rest, Amirah had woken up to see her first television show, which had came from the TGIF lineup on ABC in her hospital. The first show was Perfect Strangers, the episode Everybody in the Pool from the 5th season. This was the show with the character Larry moving on his own in Chicago, only to get a surprise roommate Balky Bartokmus from the Baltic Islands known as Mythos. It's not a real place. This is the episode where Larry exploits Balky's shepherd's intuition to make sports bets. This had been quite a common trope in the show, and attempts to make a mockery of the idea of naive immigrants. Soon enough, Amirah woke up to the introduction when the show's theme song, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. The second show was Full House, the episode Joey, Stacy, and oh yeah, Jesse. This was the episode of the third season, in which this is the same episode where Comet rips up Stephanie's stuffed bear, and Joey's girlfriend Stacy encourages him to assert himself when Jesse becomes too bossy. 2 days later, Zaida was ready for discharge, and Amirah was ready to be brought home for the first time. As the custom dictated, Amirah was dressed in a red at the hospital, and the mother and daughter were discharged. On Sunday afternoon, Amirah was brought home for the first time and laid in the family room cradle with an 80s style television and a Christmas tree. Zaida had come home to an abundance of gifts from various friends and family, many being artifacts that have been passed down. That night, the Simpson pilot first premiered, which was the episode Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. By this time, Amirah woke up from her nap, and the scene she had seen was when Bart was sitting on Santa's lap at the department store Santa Claus. The Earthling's vision. The Earthling's vision. This is the vision the mortals saw in regards to the dedication of the temple. There was the great family room. In the middle of the wall stood the Simpsons episode, Simpsons roasting on an open fire, with the scene where Bart on Homer's lap dressed as a Santa Claus. On the left-hand side is a Christmas tree with a dancing Shiva in place of a star. Next to the television is a statue of Mahatma Gandhi on a pillar wearing a Santa hat, a hookah gift, and a wall cross as a gift. On the right-hand side is a wall-mounted statue of Ganesh, mounted against the wall with a wreath worn as a necklace. On the left-hand center is Zaida dressed in a Hindu sari, and on the right center is Kazeem dressed in a Sufi dervish. In the center area are gifts of saffron and flatbreads, along with a turban Santa Claus, a package of red footy pajamas, and durable diapers. The remainder of the year. During this time, they had long figured out who was a little boy of 15 months who had dreamed of being a fish. His name was Milo Biancatello. For some strange reason, something had connected these two spirits since the day Amirah was born. During this time, Milo was at his aunt and uncle's wedding. The whole family took a picture which shared much resemblance to the wedding picture of Larry and Balky with their brides Marianne and Jennifer. However, this episode, known as The Wedding from the 7th season, had not premiered until a little over a year later. Seamus, a seer of the Order of the Jinns, had come to read this picture and tell of its meaning. Upon looking at the picture, this is the vision Seamus saw. He saw a woman putting a puzzle together, but found a piece that she could not figure out how to use. At this, the woman threw the piece in the garbage believing it to be a defective piece. Months later, this woman had got quite far after a fair amount of toil and difficulty. There had been a section of the puzzle that had a missing piece, and the woman could not find any pieces that could fit together. Then the woman remembered the pieces she had long thrown away and headed to the unempty garbage and rescued the missing pieces. To this woman's surprise, the piece fit perfectly.